If you are looking for the perfect gift to give one of your loved ones this upcoming Christmas, then you should go ahead and check out Dossier. Dossier is a high-end luxury fragrance company that takes your favorite designer fragrances, makes them into their own at the fraction of the price by cutting out all of the crazy expenses. Have iconic scents with designer quality but no markups. Absolutely love Dossier because they literally have so many fragrance options on their website, so many options. They are very versatile. What I really like, besides the minimal but chic and adorable packaging that they have here, is that every single fragrance actually comes with a little note card. It talks about the middle notes, base notes, and the top notes. It actually says which designer perfume that they were inspired by, how it works, and all of those amazing things. Their mission is to deliver the highest quality luxury fragrances at a reasonable price, and what's absolutely amazing is that they have a lifetime guarantee, which basically means that at any point in time, if you are unhappy with your products, you can go ahead and send it back to them and select a new one, and it doesn't last for 30 days, it doesn't last for 60 days, it is literally forever. At any point in your time, you could take your purchase and return it if you are unhappy with it, and they are always taking suggestions from their users about what fragrances they should try, which I think is also very brilliant. They're very interactive. Just the fact that they have a lifetime guarantee policy means that they are so confident within their products. I am as well. Favorite scent is Fruity Honey. As you guys can see, I am completely out of it. Like, I literally have nothing left. I get so many compliments on this fragrance. I literally was walking in the mall with my daughter and I had like 3 strangers like literally be like, oh my god, girl, you smell good. And I'm like, thank you, it's Dossier. What I like about them too is that I personally don't like going to the stores and like hand selecting out perfumes. I find that it's very overwhelming. I find that they're very pricey. So at Dossier, I like how you can kind of select your different fragrances that you want to try. And if I try it and I don't like it, I can just return it. It's literally so easy. I honestly gift every single woman in my family a fragrance because I feel like fragrances are something that we are always running out of as women. Go ahead and use code Dakota10 or just click the link in my bio and it'll automatically be applied. You can get just one of these for $29.99. Do you guys know how expensive designer perfume is? Like $200 and up. You're getting your bang for your buck. And they're also having a really good holiday sale. You can get 3 fragrances for $69, 4 for $87, 5 for $94, or 6 for $104, which is 40% off. They're having an amazing holiday deal, and like I said, this is just a really good present for you to get for anybody in your life right now. So if you guys would like to go ahead and check that out, click the link in my bio or use Dakota10 at checkout. Dossier, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Now let's get on with this story time. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you are new, girl, what is up? My name is Dakota and I make... You're gonna have to excuse me for whatever reason. There's people outside cutting a tree in my neighborhood and these are the noises I've been dealing with. I make a ton of content on this channel, mainly story times, but also things like advice and lifestyle videos. So if that is something that you're interested in, or if you like today's video, don't forget to subscribe. It's absolutely free, and I'm really trying to hit 20K before the year ends. While you're at it, follow my podcast, Elevate Entirely. By the time that this video is up, my podcast will actually have a brand new episode on it. And just follow all my social medias. They'll be linked right here. My TikTok, my Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and everything is always in my bio. Links to my podcast, links to my social media, the lashes, the products I'm using, my intro song, my outro song, and things like that. Grab your hot cocoa. We have a festive ass one. Look at this shit. I got this from the dollar store. You guys, oh my god, like, go get your hot cocoa, your wine, your snacks, your popcorn, a notepad, your antibiotic, because I need to take mine. This is going to be a story time. I don't know how I'm gonna name this. It might be that story time I crashed my bully's party, or it might be about how this girl just literally hates my guts. I don't know exactly what it's going to be just yet, but it's going to be a high school horror story. So if that's something you're interested in, all you have to do is keep on watching because we're gonna get started. Okay. Going to be like a high school horror story. You guys literally seem to absolutely love my high school stories for whatever reason. So this is going to be one of them. So in order to watch this video, I highly encourage you to go ahead and watch my video of I Fought My Best Friend. I mentioned a character named Caesar. Caesar was this guy that I was dating that was honestly just like not the best person. He has apologized present day though. I was talking about this girl, like Caesar's girlfriend, right, who like couldn't stand me, like absolutely like rude, like Neville and freaking iCarly, like rude the day I was born. I'll tell you guys why, but I said in another video I was going to. Now, if you haven't watched my last video, excuse me, I slept with her man, then you'll know about a character that I like to call Alicia Cassandra, and she is very, very relevant in this video. We're gonna take this way back to when I first moved to New Jersey. So like I said, when I first moved to New Jersey, I became friends with Alicia Cassandra, and then I told you guys how me and her would hang out, and we kind of developed, you know, a pretty good friendship, but that I noticed off rip that she would just talk shit about everybody. She would talk crap about everybody. She wasn't a good person, wasn't a nice person, and all that stuff. So this is gonna be taking place way before the story time that I just did last, which was slept with her man. This took place before that. This story is actually going to be from 8th grade, but it leaks into my high school experience as well. It's a lot, okay? So you guys all know a character that I like to name Matt.
Immediately no. Immediately no. Immediately no.
It was like my first like love, I guess you could say, but he just treated me horrible. Like Matt on this channel, like honest to God, we just don't. Matt and I first met in 8th grade. No. Summer going into 8th grade, and Matt had a girlfriend. I didn't know who Matt was. This is completely before me and him even became a thing. Way before any of that happened. I met them at this park right near our middle school, and Matt had a girlfriend, and the girlfriend happened to be Caesar's girlfriend from I Fought My Best Friend. So if you're not caught up, Matt is somebody that I dated that treated me horribly, okay? Matt's girlfriend eventually became Caesar's girlfriend, like way later on. But this is like about a year, I want to say, before any of that happened, before I Fought My Best Friend, before Alicia Cassandra slept with my friend's, you know, boyfriend, like before all that stuff happened. This was like a year prior before all of that, okay? I did not know who this girl was, and we're gonna give her a name and just call her Brooke, okay? So Brooke and Matt were together. Brooke did not go to our school because Brooke lived in Riverdale. So basically I lived in a town called Pompton Lakes, and this was our middle school, right? Down the street, this was our high school. And then Riverdale was like over here, and it was only like 5 minutes away. It wasn't far at all. But they went to their own middle school. We went to our own in middle school. But the high school congregated everybody. So all the kids from Riverdale came in, and then all the kids from Pompton came into one high school. Okay, this town was so freaking small. When I tell you this was a middle school, this was the high school, you could literally walk. Like, it was crazy. I didn't know her, but I knew that she was in Riverdale. So I knew that I wasn't really ever gonna like interact with her much because she went to Riverdale. Like, I'm probably never gonna see you. So I didn't feel the need to like get to know her that much. I was really just trying to get to know the people that I was going to be going to school with. So me and her weren't friends by any way, shape, or form. But it was one of Alicia Cassandra's like best friends. Like, they were like best friends. What is on my fucking face, bro? So that's how she introduced her. She was like, oh, this is like one of my really good friends, even though she talks shit about her all the time. She introduced me to her. She's like, hey, I'm Brooke, you know, whatever. So that was that, okay? That was that. That was literally it, not much to it. So me and Matt end up going to school together, and I don't know him too well. I just know him as one of Alicia Cassandra's friends. So, you know, once in a while, me and Alicia Cassandra would hang out, and he would be there, and you know, we would just talk, and we would all just go to like the corner store after school, and we would go and get snacks and stuff. And he actually lived, I'm not even joking, you guys, right down the fucking street from me, right down the street. Like, this was my house, his was like literally down the road. So after school, every Friday, we would always go and we would get snacks from the corner store. So we'd go to the corner store, we'd get our snacks. I would probably get nothing because I never had any money. Like, I was broke. We would all walk to Matt's house, and there was this little bridge that was right near the convenience store, so you could go like all the way around town and walk to his house, or you can go over this little bridge. So you walk down from the convenience store, it's like this little like hidden bridge. It's so cute. You walk over it, there's like a little lake underneath it, and then you go to Matt's house. I'm just trying to give you guys like a visual. Matt had the type of house where as long as his parents weren't home, we went over there. His parents were like, I'm not gonna get into his personal life, but his parents were like in the middle of a divorce, so he never wanted to like upset them or like ever like cause like any more havoc than there already was. So he basically just only had friends over like if they weren't home. One day we were going over there and we were all hanging out, and it was cool. He kind of started telling me a little bit about, you know, his house, and like he had brothers and like his parents are going through a divorce and stuff like that. So over the course of the next month, I would say, I got to know Matt pretty well. Before I even liked him, you guys, he was not my type at all. One specific night where my friend Alicia Cassandra had called me, and she's like, hey, we're all gonna go to Matt's house. His parents aren't home for like the next day, and he said if we want, we can go over and like just hang out, like, you know, just hang out, walk around, things like that. Now in Pompton Lakes, there was this place called A&P. There was this place called A&P, and if you don't know what A&P is, it's essentially like a grocery store, just like a freaking Stop and Shop, just like a ShopRite, Price Right, whatever you guys have near you. It's just a grocery store, but like only Pompton Lakes had it. It was so stupid. So we would always hang out in A&P parking lot. When I tell you guys we never had a house to go to, I'm not even over exaggerating. We would either go and hang out in parking lots, or we would go and hang out in the woods and tell our parents that we were sleeping at our friend's house, but really be getting wasted off of Majorska. It was literally ghetto. It was so ghetto. Hanging out in A&P parking lot. Some of the 8th graders were there. Some of the kids from high school would go there. We would just honestly hang out and freeze to death. It was so ghetto. Like, why was I allowed to do that? So anyway, we all decided we're gonna walk to Matt's house because it's in everything was in walking distance. The town was 2.7 miles long. So I go to Matt's house and we just hang out. So it was me, Matt, Alicia Cassandra, and this other guy. We're gonna call him Momo. He really doesn't. If you know who I'm talking about, that's why you're gonna laugh at that name. But we're gonna call him Momo, and he's really not relevant to this story at least, so we're not really gonna give him too much of anything. But his name was Momo, and he was there. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, but me and Matt ended up in his room. I don't know why. I don't fucking know why. And Alicia Cassandra and Momo were downstairs, and they were just talking. They were like all best friends. So I knew like nothing was going on between them. They were just talking. Me and Matt are upstairs when we're talking, and we basically just start bonding over our trauma. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, like, we had a lot in common. Both of our parents had gone through a divorce. We both had the same amount of siblings. We both didn't really like get like along with them that well. Like, there was just like a lot of stuff that we had together that we really just had in common and that we bonded over. So we like kind of bonded over our childhood trauma, and then we started talking about relationships, and he started talking about his relationship with Brooke because it had been over for like 2 months now. I guess her parents didn't want her dating him for good reason. Matt wasn't a great person, but like literally had to break up. It was like a Romeo and Juliet type thing. Broke up, and that was that. He was just like, yeah, you know, like her parents, you know, they don't like me. Because the thing with Matt was that he wasn't like a bad, I don't know if that's sawdust or if it's snow. Anyway, he wasn't like a horrible person. He just had a lot of issues. Like, he had a lot of issues from like his child. Oh my God. There's something on my face. I can't get it off. He just had like a lot of stuff like going on with his family and things like that. And it gave him kind of like a bad reputation, which, you know, like I understood that completely. I was like, yeah, like that just happens sometimes. Like when people don't really take the chance to get to know you and they just judge you based off of like your family stuff, or they judge you based off of like things that have happened to you that you have no control over, and I really just can't stand that. So we were kind of talking about that, and he was like, yeah, you know, like at the end of the day, like it's over between me and her. Like I do still have a little bit of feelings, but like her parents don't want her with me. And I was just like, you know, like I'm so sorry about that. And he was just saying, he was like, you know, like I really, when I have a girlfriend, like I'm all about her. I'm really invested into her. Like I don't even see anybody else. And like, you know, with her, like I only saw her, and now I'm having a hard time moving on. So I was kind of just like giving him advice, like things to do and stuff like that. And so then we start talking about more just like childhood stuff, and then he starts asking me about Connecticut and, you know, why I moved here and things like that. So we're talking for a good hour, and then finally Alicia, Cassandra, and Momo come up and they're like, hey, let's go to the convenience store, let's go get snacks. And it was kind of like, it was like 8 o'clock at night, it was pretty dark outside, and if you know me, you know that I love walking. Like, I don't care what time it is, I don't care what the weather's like, I love walking, especially in the fall. And right now it was like right around that time where like it's October, but it's not like too cold yet, you know what I mean? And it's not like freezing, but it's not like too warm, and all you really need is like a sweater. So we were about to leave the house and I didn't have a jacket, and so he gave me one of his sweatshirts, and I'll never forget this sweatshirt. It was like a black sweatshirt, and it had like writing like on the arms like this, and then writing here. It had writing like all over, and I think it was like a Zoomies sweatshirt, but I just remember it smelled so freaking good. And so he gave me that sweatshirt and we start walking, and as we're walking again, like we just keep talking, like we just couldn't stop talking. We couldn't freaking stop talking like the whole entire night. It even got to the point where Alicia, Cassandra was like, are you guys gonna like get married? Like, what the fuck? Like, we just literally could not stop talking to one another because he intrigued me. He really intrigued me, and I think I intrigued him too, and we just had so much in common. And I don't know, it was just a vibe. It was a vibe. So we walked to the, you know, little corner store, we get snacks, we walk back, and then around this time I definitely had to go home because I had I was from a strict household. I had a curfew of like literally like 10 o'clock. So he was like, oh, well, it's up the street, let me walk you. And I was like, okay. So we start walking, and he just is like, thank you for tonight, you really helped me. Like, I feel like I'm really ready to just kind of like move on now, and you know, I just want to thank you like for your company. And I said, yeah, absolutely, you helped me too. Like, I never met somebody who's gone through the same things as me before, and I feel like I get you, I feel like I can talk to you. And he felt the same way. So back then I was extremely fucking prude, and I'm not gonna lie, I still am now. And I was like so afraid to kiss a boy, to hold hands with a boy, any of that. I was like embarrassed, which is why I didn't have a lot of boyfriends growing up, because I couldn't do it. And these guys would be like, this girl doesn't even want to like sit near me or hold my hand. And it's not that, I would just get scared. I don't know what it was. So he gave me like the biggest hug ever. We didn't kiss or anything like that. He just gave me like a big hug and just said goodnight. And that was that. And so when I got home, I realized that I had his sweatshirt on still. And so I texted him and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I still have your sweatshirt, I'll bring it to you tomorrow. And he was like, don't worry about it, hold on to it until the next time, you know, you and Alicia, Cassandra come over, and I'll just get it then. So I was like, okay, cool. So for the next like week, I want to say, we talked literally every single day. Like, we talk from sun up to sundown. We would talk in school, during lunch, you know, we would sit next to each other. During recess, we would hang out. Like, we literally bonded so well over this past week, and we became really, really, really good friends. We would go over his house all the time, like after school, well, when I was allowed to at least, and we would hang out, and we would just like eat and play games and things like that. And then when his parents would go home, I would just walk home, like, because my house was right there. But I was never there by myself. I was always with Momo and Alicia, Cassandra. We were like the four musketeers, even though all of them literally are not shit. But anyway, started progressing from a friendship to I kind of like you. And I definitely felt that way too. I felt like I liked him a lot, and I felt like he liked me too, but like I wasn't exactly sure, and I had to kind of just like play my cards right and see what was going to happen. I never was the one to make the first move back then. Like I said, the thought of having a crush absolutely terrified the shit out of me. Also, I wasn't trying to have a boyfriend. Like, when I got there, I had offers, but I would say the same thing to everybody, that I really was trying to get to know the town and like kind of get myself together before I started dating. Like, I needed to like, you know, make friends. I needed to like get my stuff figured out with school. I needed to, me and my parents were in the middle of like trying to find a place to move, because I was sleeping in the living room. Like, when we moved to my former stepdad's crib, there was only 2 bedrooms and there was 4 of us. So my mom and my stepdad slept in one room, my stepbrother slept in this room, and I didn't have a room. The living room was my only space, and I literally had a futon mattress, not even a futon, a mattress, that I would have to fold up and put in the closet in the morning. And then when I would go to sleep at night, I would take that and unfold it and go to sleep in there. And like, I had no privacy. And if you guys don't know me, like, I'm extroverted, but as a kid I was very introverted, and I liked to be alone. alone. Like, I needed my own space, and I never had that. I also couldn't stand my stepdad at the time. That's a whole story for another day. But I felt like I just never had privacy, and I never wanted to be home because of it. So I would purposely try to find ways to not be home. And Matt's house was just like a perfect escape for me, honestly. It was the perfect concoction for the shit show that's about to happen. So I would just go over there very, very often, and we just started to develop feelings. And I don't remember exactly how we told one another about the feelings that we developed, but we ended up just basically saying like, hey, I like you too. Let's see where this goes. And I'm not gonna lie, when me and Matt were first dating, he was very sweet. Like, he would give me his jersey every single Friday to wear for the football games. He would walk me to and from class because we had the same science class together. So he would come over to my locker, and he would like put his arm around me, and we would like walk together. And he would always come by my locker and just see how I was. And he was just very, very sweet. One day, he gave me his jersey, and he came by my locker, and we were getting ready to go to science class, and we were walking to science class, and his hand just so happened to correlate with mine. And when I tell you guys that I was literally shitting bricks, like, I was not one to show affection to guys like that. Now physical touch is my love language. Like, give me all the PDA that you want, like crawl inside my shirt and live there, why don't you? But at the time, I wasn't like that, and it made me very uncomfortable, and it made me very nervous. So I remember, like, it's a small ass town, and it's a small school, okay? So everybody saw us, and like for the next week, that was all everybody would talk, because people were bored. Like, there wasn't much to do there. So like, if something happened like that, that's all anybody would talk about. So we were like the talk of the school for the next week. Here's where things get a little messy. As we start to progress our whatever it is, we weren't official yet, but we were starting to date, word gets around to Brooke. And I don't know if it was Alicia Cassandra who told, or I don't know if like somebody in the school just told. I really don't know. But Brooke found out, and apparently she was really mad. Now let me just say this, me and Brooke weren't friends. We were not friends at that time at all. Like I said, I literally saw her like maybe once or twice over that summer, but I never really took the chance to get to know her because I knew she wasn't going to be in my school. So we were by no means friends. I'm not doing eyeshadow today because, to be honest, I just don't feel like wearing it. To be the Leisure Lashes from Killa. Link is always in the description. Use code Dakota15 for 15% off your order. It gets back to Brooke, and Brooke is mad, but I'm like kind of confused. Okay, here's the fucking thing, all right? Where I came from, I went to Worcester Middle School, and this is how things went there. When you were broken up with somebody, you were broken up with somebody. There was no like back and forth. There was no he said, she said. There was no like, oh, I dated him, so he's off limits to everybody, even if you don't freaking know me. Like, there was none of that. And literally, like in my old middle school, people would date each other's boyfriends. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just trying to give you guys a visual of where I came from. Now, when I was in middle school, I really didn't date anybody. I only dated, when I was in 7th grade before I went to Worcester, I dated one person, and that was it. I really just minded my business, and I was prude as hell, so I just didn't want to date anybody. But at my old middle school, like, I literally, like, these two girls were like best friends, and they would just like swap boyfriends. Like, it was just a thing. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just telling you guys like of like what I witnessed and what I thought was like, you know. So I didn't think that just because I knew of Brooke that I couldn't date somebody that she used to be in a relationship with. That's weird. We're not friends. I know of you. I've seen you a couple times. I've said hi and bye. I have your screen name on fucking AIM, but like, we're not friends. So what's not clicking, Steven?
What's not clicking, Steven?
So she was like mad, and it wasn't that she was mad at Matt, she was mad at me. Like, she told people she hated me. She's like, that girl's a snake, like she's with Matt, blah blah blah. Like, first of all, girl, you and him can't even be together. You guys are on some Romeo and Juliet shit where your parents literally don't want you to date him. And second of all, like, I don't know you like that, so why? Anyway, me and Matt just become really, really close. Like, we start bonding even more. We start hanging out a lot more. I start going to his like football games and wearing his jerseys and things like that, and people are finding out about us, and they're like, oh my god, you guys are so cute. And he was so nice to me and just so sweet. Like, he was just at first a really good guy, and he just made me feel happy and beautiful and validated, and this is where things start to get a little messy. Over the course of however much time passed, I really have no concept of how much time passed, but he started acting a little bit weird. He wouldn't text me back as much, he wouldn't talk to me as much. If I was in the hallway and I was at my locker, he would walk right past it instead of walking me to class. And I'm kind of just like, what is going on? Now, back then, I was not communicative. Is that a word? Communicative? I didn't communicate my feelings. I let them sit and I let them fester because I wasn't properly taught how to communicate my feelings. Now, I'm gonna tell you when, where, how, what. No, I'm just kidding. But no, seriously, like I communicate very well now. And I did not ask him what was wrong. And I never said anything to him. I never asked him what was wrong. I never was like, are we good? I just figured that if he wanted to tell me something, that he would be a grown person and that he would tell me, or that if he didn't like me anymore, or that if he wasn't interested anymore, that he would say something. Now, Alicia Cassandra was supposed to be one of my really like best friends at the time, right? Like I was her twin, like we were twins, twinny, like whatever. And I remember I confronted her about it and I was like, do you know what's going on with Matt? Because he's been like kind of weird to me lately. And she's just like, oh girl, like, you know how guys are, like they just do that sometimes. Like I wouldn't think anything of it. I'm sure he's like still really into you. And I remember I asked her, I was like, are him and Brooke talking again? Because that's the only thing I could think of is like, okay, like maybe him and Brooke are talking again, or maybe, like, because you know what I'm saying? Like, she was mad that she found out we were talking. So in my mind, I'm like, maybe she texted him and was like, hey, let's get back together. Like, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out for myself what's going on here, and nobody's really, like, giving me much of anything to work with. So I remember I asked her, like, do you know if they're talking again? She was like, oh no, like she would have told me X, Y, and Z. I'm sure they're not talking again. I'm sure he's really into you. Just don't overthink it. So I take her advice and I basically decide to stay quiet. And if he wants to tell me something, he'll tell me. So we go to his house after school. It was a Friday. Go to the convenience store, get some snacks, go to his house, hang out. So he was acting really weird towards me this day. Normally when I go to his house, like he'll try to come on the couch and cuddle with me, or it's so weird because I'm thinking about his house now and I could literally remember exactly what it smelled like. Like, oh, like I just remember everything about that house. It's so weird. So basically this day I just felt like he was being very distant from me, and again, I wasn't gonna ask, I wasn't gonna say anything, but he was just being very distant. So tell me how we're in his there's this little room before you go outside. There's like this like sliding door, right? And right before you go out that sliding door, there's a computer room. So it's a computer, it's a big couch, a TV, etc. Nice hardwood floors. We're chilling in there, and Momo decides to start asking me about me and Matt. What's going on? Are you guys together? Or are you not? And I'm like, I don't really know. I was like, he hasn't asked me to be his girlfriend, but at the same time, like, we act like we're boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, I don't know. And back then, I was not somebody to ask somebody, what are we? Now, if I have to ask you what we are, if you have to ask somebody what your place is in their life, that's your place right there. So, but back in the day, like, I was not the type of person to be like, what are we? Or like, whatever, like, let's put a label, because I don't know. Like, I just wasn't that person. I didn't stand up for myself. I didn't talk about things that were on my mind or that bothered me. Now, I'm a very strong opinionated woman, but it wasn't always the case. So we're just kind of talking about that, and then Alicia Cassandra walks in, and Momo asks her, Alicia, do you think that Dakota and Matt are going to end up like in a relationship? Because I think they are. Meanwhile, let me just tell you that I just asked this girl that same day, are you sure that Brooke and him aren't back together? Are you sure they're not talking again? I don't feel like he likes me anymore. He's been so distant. He barely talks to me. And when I am around, I just felt like I was annoying to him. She told me, oh no, girl, that's just how guys are. Don't worry about it. No, I'm pretty sure they're not talking. She would have told me. So again, Momo asks her, do you think Dakota and Matt are going to end up together? And she goes,
no, he's madly in love with Brooke.
Cut the cameras. Dead ass.
but you literally just told me that they're done, that I'm tripping, I'm overreacting, that you're sure he's still into me, but now you're telling me that he's talking to one of your friends. That he's madly in love with your Make it make sense. So I literally, like, I still to this day can remember how I felt in that moment, and my heart just sank, and I was like, what? And it got really quiet. It got very awkward. Matt was not in the room at the time. Matt was actually upstairs. And I would later come to find that Matt was upstairs and on the phone with Brooke. Knowing I'm in his house downstairs, he invited me to his house. And let me just tell you guys, he never told me that he wasn't into me anymore. He never told me that him and Brooke were even talking again. Like, the only time that he would tell me how he felt about me was when it was like something good. Like, he would be like, I really like you. Like, I've never felt this way about somebody before. Like, I think we can be really great together. But he never told me, like, I'm not into you anymore. Or, like, me and Brooke are going to give it another chance. Had he just told me that, I mean, I understand. Because they didn't get their full chance because her parents didn't want them to be together. But, like, fucking tell me. Like, say I just got my stuff and I left. And you guys, I swear to God, there was never a conversation. There was never a, like, I'm gonna be with her, and, you know, we had a really good run around, but, like, I want to explore my feelings for her still. There was none of that. We just stopped talking. And him and Brooke got back together. And, like, literally a couple weeks later, we all went to a football game. And after the football game, he, like, went up to her, and they were, like, kissing and stuff. And I'm just like, do you not care that I'm right here? Like,
oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, oh, okay.
I was so upset, you guys, because I felt like, in a way, Matt became one of my best friends. We talked about all of our stuff together. I opened up to him. He opened up to me. And it was one of those things where, like, I didn't open up to a lot of people about that stuff. So I was really hurt. I was really hurt. And I felt like I lost the person that I was dating, but also, like, my best friend at the same time. And I was just really hurt about it. And Alicia Cassandra, I don't know how after that I continued a friendship with her, because she was just so snaky. Like, it turns out, I found out, like, a while after that, like, him and Brooke basically ended up talking about how they wanted to work things out. And I guess she talked to her parents, and they were like, okay, like, we'll give him a chance. And that they, for like a week straight, were like talking again, and that he just didn't know how to tell me. But Alicia Cassandra knew the whole time. So when I asked her, she straight up lied to my freaking face.
That's weird.
But I don't feel bad about what I did with the note.
And then the note, you tell.
If you know, you know. Watch my last video. That's why I don't feel bad about what I did with, you know, when we messaged my friend on AIM and told her about what Alicia Cassandra was doing with her boyfriend, because this girl did so many, like, messed up things to me. Like, this is, like, not even, like, scratching the surface. She's done so much worse to me, and we'll get into it in later story times to come. But this is just, like, a synopsis of how she just was, like, not shit as a friend. And if anyone's gonna comment on the highlight of my nose, just shut up. I don't care. You don't like it, don't watch my goddamn videos. But you probably will, because you're low-key a hater, and you're obsessed, and your press is a panini. And go tell somebody else who gives a shit, because I don't. And I'm gonna purposely now keep putting highlight on my nose to make you mad. That was a backstory to a backstory, okay? So they end up dating, breaking up, like, literally 5 million times. And then after they break up, basically me and Matt ended up being together, but he, like, never claimed me. We were on and off from 8th grade to, like, literally my junior year of high school. Never claimed me. Lost it to him, lost it to each other, and all that stuff. Never claimed me. Like, I don't know why I ever in a million years thought that that kid was a good person, but I was blinded. I think I was so fixated on having somebody that was so unattainable. Like, you know, when you give a chance to somebody who's, like, not your type, and then they treat you really good in the beginning, and then they start treating you like you're average, and then they leave, and then they keep coming in and out, and then you get hyper fixated on having somebody that like you didn't want in the beginning but you want now, and that is like so unattainable and like won't officially be with you but won't leave you alone either. Like that's the kind of situation it was, and I realized I do that with a lot of people in my life. That was my high school career. Anyway, moving on. We all start going to the same high school. So Alicia, Cassandra, Matt, Caesar was a grade ahead of us, so he was already there. Or no, 2 grades ahead of us, so he was already there. Frickin', what's her name? Brooke. Like, we all start going to the same high school. All the Riverdale kids and Pompton kids congregate to one high school. So if you saw my story about how I fought my best friend, I met this guy named Caesar, and we all ended up going to his house for just like a little like movie night get together type thing. Alicia Cassandra was the one who invited me. She's like, oh, you know, me and Matt are going, you should come with Stephanie. And so we all ended up going there. Remember that story, right? If you don't watch this story, this one's just not gonna make sense. So we ended up going over there, and Brooke and him had dated, but they only were together for a month, like literally a month, and then they broke up. And like I said, where I came from, when you broke up, you broke up. Like there was none of this like back and forth, like, oh, he's still mine, like you hoes can't have him. Like, it didn't, like, literally the girls in that school, if they had a boyfriend and then they broke up and like another girl that wasn't even friends with them dated him, they would like try to like make her life hell. And it's like, you expect him to never move on? Like, I don't understand. So like I said, I thought they were broken up, and I remember we went to his house and we were all having a fun ass night, and I remember me and him started just talking, and then we kind of started getting a little flirty. And because we were getting flirty, I made sure to ask him, I was like, I know that you dated Brooke, are you and her like officially broken up, or like what's going on? He's like, oh yeah, like we are done, like we are done, like sticking a fork in it, overdone, like it's finished, like we would never, I don't even talk to her anymore, that type of stuff. So I thought it was okay to start talking to him. So me and him, and this is over winter break, by the way. Winter break came around, so we weren't like going to school and seeing everybody. Like we were just basically wreaking havoc for that whole entire week because we had a week off. So basically I start talking to Caesar because I think it's okay. And word gets around that Brooke hates me again. Like literally, I know you guys are saying like, why do you keep dating the people she's dating? I wasn't. Like when I first started dating Matt, like they were broken up and she was in another town. Like I didn't think 2 thoughts of her because we weren't friends and I didn't know the girl. I met her 2 times and she wasn't of any significance in my life. If we were friends, then no, I would have been like, okay, like he's off limits. And then with Caesar, again, me and Brooke weren't friends. Like we weren't even like really like in the same friend group. Like I just knew of her. And obviously she was Alicia Cassandra's friend and me and Alicia Cassandra were friends, but like, remember when I told you guys Alicia Cassandra, when she went to high school, everybody hated her, including Brooke. Brooke was a part of that friend group, that girl group that would like pretend to be friends with Alicia Cassandra at gym time and lunchtime, but then wouldn't talk to her outside of that. That was her. So I wasn't even in the same friend group as her. I was friends with Alicia Cassandra in a completely different other friend group. So I thought it was okay. Like I didn't think anything of it. So basically word gets around that she like literally hates me, like wants to rip my head off, etc. So I take it out of my heart to message her on AIM and be like, hey girl, overheard that you're mad at me for dating No, I wasn't even dating him. We like just started talking, and I was like, I heard that like you're mad that like I was over Caesars with people last night. I just want to let you know like I was invited there. Like I didn't go there with intentions on talking to him or anything. Like I literally just went over there to hang out with people. Like I was invited, and I was like, you know, like we did kiss a couple times, but that's all that happened. And I was like, you know, like he did tell me that he likes me, and I just want to let you know that if you're not okay with it, let me know and I'll back out right now. Like I will not talk to him. And she was like, hey girl, no, like I don't know like where you heard that. People must have gotten my words mixed up. But I was basically just saying how I'm mad at him because apparently when we were all going over there, he was texting her and he was saying like, oh yeah, like I've got girls coming over right now, blah 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 blah, like, just being narcissistic as fuck. And then he said like I was coming over or whatever, and so he was like bragging about it. And then I guess she got mad that he was like talking like that to her, and so he was like, I'm just kidding, I would never like touch any of the girls coming over, I would never even talk to them, like saying all this stuff. But he was telling me that he and Brooke hadn't talked in weeks and they were over. But apparently they would still talk as friends, and they both admitted they still like each other, but that just wasn't the right time to be together. Meanwhile, he's over here trying to get with me. Like, it was just messy. This man was just freaking messy, and Brooke always looked at me as the bad person and never Caesar. Never was Caesar. That was just the fucking story of my life growing up, though. So she was like, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at him because he lied to me. He said, like, the girls coming over, including you, that he would never talk to, never touch, never even think about. And then, you know, I find out the next day that you guys went over there and that you and him were kind of like flirting and stuff. So she's like, I'm not mad at you, I'm just mad at him because he basically lied to me. And I was like, oh no, like, I totally understand like where you're coming from, but if you don't want me to talk to him, like, let me know, like, I'll back out. And she's like, honestly, I still love him and like I still really care about him, but I think that we're just not good together. I think that we're just not meant to be together. And if you make him happy and if he makes you happy, like, I just want him to be happy. So if you make him happy, I give you guys my blessing. Like, go ahead and go for it. I remember I asked her numerous times, are you sure? Because if you don't want me to talk to him, I'll back out right now. And she said, girl, I promise, go ahead and do your thing. So I thought, like, when somebody tells me it's okay, I'm gonna think it's okay. Like, it's just like that thing where, like, when you ask like your girlfriend, like, oh, like, what do you want for Christmas? And then she says nothing, and then the guy gets her nothing and she's mad. Like, bitch, you said nothing. Speak for what you want. Like, I don't know. So she told me it was okay. So me and him started talking. We started, like, I was going over there all the time with like my friends. We were hanging out over winter break and things were going really good. And then one day, out of nowhere, I get a text to my phone and it's the most aggressive, outlandish, like, just crazy thing in the whole entire world, and it's Brooke, and she's cursing me out, like, are you effing with Caesar? Answer the effing question. How dare you? You know how I feel about him. I can't believe that you would betray me like this. How dare you talk to him? He's still mine. And I'm like, literally reading all of this, and I'm just like, if 2 plus 2 is 4 and 5 plus 5 is 10, then what the fuck is this?
If 2 plus 2 is 4, right, and 5 plus 5 is 10, okay, what the fuck is this? Like,
literally, like, you just told me days ago that it was okay if I talked to him. You gave me your permission. And she's like, I basically said that. I said, you told me it was okay if I talked to him, so I've been, like, what's the issue? And she's like, oh, I can't believe you thought I was being serious. I was just saying that, but I didn't think that you were actually gonna do it. And I'm like, how does that in any atmosphere make sense? You tell somebody it's okay if you want to talk to him, it's okay if you want to date him, as long as he's happy. But then you get mad at me for doing what you told me I could do. You get mad at me for giving your blessing and saying I could do. Make it make sense. What's not clicking, Steven? I don't understand. So I'm just like, and at this point, me and him are already, like, basically dating. Like, we've got, I mean, yeah, it was only like a week, but like, we've gotten like pretty like invested in, when you were in high school, like, relationships for a week were like a fucking year. Like, let's just be real. So I'm already like kind of invested. So at this point, I'm just like, girl, if you wanted me to stop talking to him, you should have said that when I first asked you. And now, like, I have feelings for him. I developed feelings for him. It would have been easy for me to back away before, but now, like, I'm not backing away just because you decided to fucking wake up and change your mind. No. So I pretty much told her that. I was like, girl, listen, like, the time to tell me no was when I first asked you, like, not now. And honestly, come to think about it, I didn't owe her any loyalty. We weren't friends. Like, we literally weren't. It's like, this was like my best friend. Like, yeah, I would totally understand to, like, hate me, but like, we're not friends. Like, I don't even know you like that.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
So I just basically told her, like, tough titties to the kitty when the milk went dry. Like, I'm sorry, but like, if you are gonna be mad, like, be mad, stay mad. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you.